These are my top places in Marco Island, Florida to get the best photos. Marco Island is in southwest Florida, just north of the Everglades and south of Naples. First on the list is Dickman's Island. It has grown in popularity over the years. It's one of the first islands just south of Marco Island. When we first started exploring this island, we would be the only ones there. Now, you will see more people getting dropped off by boats or planning to stay there for the day. You do have to get here by boat or kayak. There are many tours that can take you here as well. We went with Everwater Charters, which I would highly recommend. Or you can also rent a kayak and go from Caxambas Park. That's probably the closest boat launch to this island. You can see the hotels of South Beach, which can make for some great beach skyline type shots. My favorite shots are of the calm inlet. You don't have the waves crashing on the sand, and it is so serene. There are lots of shells, sand dollars, fiddler crabs, and just an overall beautiful beach. If you get there early, the shelling is great, and there aren't as many people. Remember, there's probably a lot more live shells on a beach that is more secluded than one that has a lot of people. Next on the list is the Rose Marina. It's located on the north side of Marco Island. Great things to photograph are the birds that flock here in hopes of getting some fish from the incoming fishing boats. Check the times of when the boats come in from tours because they clean the fish and the birds are fun to watch, like the pelicans, egrets, and cormorants. You can also see huge tarpon swimming by the dock, waiting for any food that the birds missed. Big Cypress National Preserve is next on our list. It is a designated dark skies park, so astrophotography is great here. I like the Kirby Storter Park and Boardwalk. The Loop Road Scenic Drive is a perfect location to capture so much wildlife, and you don't have to hike anywhere. Everything is along the road that you drive and stop and just look out the window, and you can see so many amazing wildlife opportunities to photograph. I have found that early morning is the best time because there aren't a lot of people and so many birds and other wildlife. You are almost guaranteed to see alligators. I think we saw over 50 one time we were there, and the sun just peeks through perfectly in the early morning. This is one of my favorite spots for wildlife photography. Now we're going to go to the beach, South Marco Beach in particular. As the name implies, it is on the south end of the island. Even though the beach can get crowded, there's still a lot to photograph from many different perspectives, like the little hermit crabs. A lot of things get washed up on the shore, like this crab. If you get down low, there's so many seashells to photograph. And of course, my favorite time of day is sunset. The sunsets here are phenomenal. And there's a lot of people, so you can get some silhouettes, but you can also get the wild waves crashing. This one is taken early morning, so I do like the beach in the early morning as well as sunset. At the end of the beach, there's this really neat rocky area. There are shells galore. The rocks make for some great foreground for sunset photos as well. On a windy day, you can get some great wave shots, especially when the sun is going down and they look so golden. Next on our list are burrowing owls. They can be found all around Marco Island, as well as Cape Coral, which is just north of Naples. If you want to see these amazing birds, you can easily find an area along a sidewalk in Marco Island. Burrows are roped off with PVC pipe and rope for their protection. Do not get too close. If they are hissing at you, that means you need to back up. They are usually standing next to their burrows or on their perch. Be respectful of these awesome owls and bring a zoom lens if you want to take a closer pic. In the springtime, you can see babies. They are so cute, but you definitely need a zoom lens. Sometimes you can catch them doing fun things like this one, kicking up the sand. Burrowing owls are the cutest little birds and so fun to watch. We are halfway through our list. Next up is SS Judge Jolly Bridge. There are 2 ways to get on the island, and this is the main bridge that people take on the north side of the island. Depending on what the tide looks like, whether it's high or low, will depend on what kind of shots you can get. This particular morning, I had a great reflection with the water and the tree. Now, this only happens at a certain time of day when the tide is low enough to access this area. Bridges can make for some great photo ops, and I like to go here at low tide, especially to get the bright green algae on the rocks with the bridge in the scene. Lighting does matter in order to get that bright green effect. You won't get that at other times of the day. Sunrise is a great time to come, but you can come at sunset too. Anytime you have a place with water, you can get some great reflections, and especially with a man-made structure like this. It looks really cool with the reflection. Always walk around to see what the best angles and other opportunities you have. I love taking my camera with me on a kayaking adventure through the 10,000 islands. You can find both public and private boat launches. Some of the ones near Marco Island are Caxambas, Isle of Capri, Shell Island, or Goodland Bridge. This is the kayak that my dad has devised for fishing and paddling. Don't forget a waterproof bag. You can also rent a kayak like the one on the right, but either way, to access the 10,000 islands, you will need a boat or a kayak. You never know what you might encounter when you're on the water. Anything from dolphins like these guys, but you can also find some really cool birds in the mangroves, as well as just the mangroves themselves make some really neat photos. So get out on the water to enjoy some other photo opportunities, whether it's kayak or a boat. I mentioned earlier that there's 2 ways to get onto Marco Island. The other way is the Goodland Bridge, which is on the east side of the island. It's smaller than the SS Judge Jolly Bridge and not as busy. You won't encounter a lot of people when it's early or late in the day, but you will encounter some mosquitoes, so bring that bug spray. There are some old bridge remnants that are great to photograph with a long exposure. This little guy found a shrimp that a fisherman had dropped in the sand, and he is enjoying some dinner. So don't forget to look down and look all around you. There's a lot of different fun things to photograph. Depending on the tide levels will depend on the different types of photos you can take too. I'm heading under the bridge, and you can see the water is pretty low. It's not completely low tide, but it's close. So long exposure photography under there turned out pretty nice. So don't forget to head to both sides. You never know what angle you're gonna like better depending on light. At the other end of this bridge is a mural, so remember to always check both ends of bridges. Next, we have the Fakahatchee Strand Preserve.
Oh my gosh.
You never know what you might come across hiking in Florida. My dad was a little more adventurous than I was walking past this alligator. I was hoping that he had already eaten for the day, so I slowly yet quickly went past him because I did not want to be his meal. This is the largest state park in the state of Florida. I love the big Cypress Bend Boardwalk. Unfortunately, depending on when you're watching, it is closed due to some damage from the last hurricane. So you won't be able to see it right now, but hopefully they will work on it and it will get reopened. There are other places in the park that you can go to. The wildlife here is pretty cool. There's birds, there's bugs, there's anything you can possibly imagine.
Look at all those. Oh my gosh. What are those?
Water bugs.
If you just look down, look up, look around, you will see cool things to photograph.
We're at the Marsh Trail at the 10,000 Island Refuge.
Since the last boardwalk might be closed, you can check out this spot, the Marsh Trail, which is part of the 10,000 Islands Wildlife Refuge.
We've been here many times. We love this trail. There's a ton of birds.
Actually more than
Thousands. They roost here at night. And we're going for 20,000 steps today. We hit 16,000 by 10:30. And we're just continually getting more.
It has a nice paved trail that leads pretty far, actually. We have taken it all the way. But it's not necessary that you go to the end. There is a tower that you can overlook the entire wetland area, and at sunset, it looks amazing. So my dad usually has his binoculars with him, and he is a great spotter, and he will find something for me to photograph, and then I will take out my camera and get a shot of it. But here you can see as we're walking up the tower, there's 2 levels that you can overlook. And the top is definitely the better one because you can see more of the water. But sunset is my favorite time, like I said, to visit here. You can see the birds coming in. They fly in and roost in the trees overnight. And then if you get up early enough, you can come in the morning too and see them take off to whatever they do during the day. These are migratory birds, so this doesn't occur all year round. You'll want to check when they are migrating. In the spring is when we were there. Well, that's our top 10, but there are some that I didn't list that I still want to mention. One being the Brigg's Boardwalk on Shell Island. There is a really cool nature walk here. You can see it's just north of Marco Island. You can also check out where you're staying. There's a ton of cool photo ops around with buildings and anything you can think of. Like flowers, or just the whole island has a lot of cool stuff. Like this hotel on South Beach. The sun was hitting it just perfectly. The boardwalk, like I said, the flowers. Any beach or island, I mean, there's so many of them around that area. Like I said, there's 10,000 islands. So you're bound to find a cool beach or island. This one is Tigertail Beach, which is a little bit more public. So there you have it, the top 10 places for great photos in Marco Island, Florida. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like.